So the total cost out the door for our first maintenance bill on the Cessna Citation was well, I'm sure you guys saw this video coming. It's time we discuss the obscene, egregious costs of owning a private jet. So if you've been around the block a time or two, you would know you could pick up an old private jet for sometimes as little as like $50,000. Now, not saying it's legal to fly, but you know, you have a private jet. So how much does it actually cost to like run it, and will it make you go broke? This one's really trying to do just that. So we just got our beautiful Cessna Citation 501 SP back from its first service, and let's just say my bank account is crying. This was supposed to be a small, easy little maintenance routine checkup, but let's just say the final bill out the door would make you think that it was anything but that. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you would know that we haven't posted a video with this plane for a while. I'm about to explain why, but you probably saw the reveal video with this plane and the first times flying it. Those videos all went like semi-viral within the aviation community on YouTube. I mean, over 1 million views on the reveal video. Thank you guys so much for blowing that video up. And then the first flight with it, like 500,000 views. Every video we post with this plane goes crazy. And for good reason. I think there's a shortage of this sort of content on YouTube. There are very few private jet owners that are willing to show you what it's actually like to own a plane, the costs associated with fixing it, running it. You guys see Owen, Wolf, James fly this plane on the channel, and we're able to take you up into the cockpit to show you the action, and you all really, really enjoy that. I enjoy making the content. I don't enjoy getting into the cockpit. 6'6", not really meant for people my height. Just gotta swing my leg. Okay, well, I don't need to get in here. We're not going flying yet. Maybe at the end of this video, we'll show you some clips. But the point of this video is to be in a nice, quiet environment, sitting inside the plane, going over what was done, how much it costs to do, and why I am extremely frustrated for multiple reasons. Shocker. Oh boy, the comment section is going to be juicy on this one.
I told you that was a stupid idea buying that plane. I told you wouldn't be able to afford that. I knew that plane would make you go bankrupt. Why did you buy that old piece of crap? You're the dumbest aviation YouTuber there has ever been.
Yeah, I know. There was a lot of hate comments when we announced purchasing this plane. All right, maybe some of you are right. Let's actually close the door so it's extra nice and quiet in here. Push this swings in. All right, nice and quiet. Let's talk numbers. As far as I know, I have never seen a YouTuber who owns a private jet talk about the cost of ownership. You know, what maintenance items you might run into in case, you know, you wanted to go out and buy a private jet. You know what to expect, right? You see it for cars all the time. Just got my Lamborghini back from service. Let's talk how much it costs to own. Oh, $2,000 for fluid changes and annual service. And everybody's like, oh my gosh. I don't think I will ever complain about a car maintenance item ever again. None of our cars will ever come close to the magnitude and expense of maintenance that is this private jet. You think owning a Ferrari or Lamborghini is expensive? I'm telling you, that is peanuts compared to what I'm about to outline and the cost to maintain something like this. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. One's a car that has 4 wheels and goes like 200 miles an hour, and one's a plane that has 3 wheels and goes 400 miles an hour. So yeah, it's gonna be more expensive. It's a lot bigger of a toy, and it's got a lot more going on and very expensive engines, blah, 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 blah. I get it, I get it. I was expecting it to be painful. I just didn't expect it to be this painful. Let's review. Where do we start? There's big maintenance items and there's small maintenance items on a jet like this. You'll hear it described in different ways. Citation, this one in particular, it's phases. So you'll hear like phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then different planes, they'll call them checks, like A checks, B checks, C checks. Other planes will just call them inspections. And every single check, maintenance item, or phase has a list of required items to inspect, replace, repair as necessary, whatever it may be. Every plane's different, but this plane in particular, the phase 5 is the big, scary item that you do not want to have to do under your ownership. Because, get this, a phase 5 inspection is roughly $75,000, and it's due every 2 years, but it's every 4 years if you have it on a low utilization maintenance program, lump program. I had no idea going into this. I probably should have done a little more research when it came to maintenance, but there's a whole lot of other phases. You just only hear the big 1 through 5. So you don't hear phase 18, phase 54, phase 38, phase 42, phase 22, and they all have different inspection schedules. And they're really difficult to track if you're doing it like by hand or by yourself or in your like Excel file on your computer. So that's why having a program is really handy. Like we're on Sierra Track, so it tracks everything. It's a decent chunk of change to have this software, but it lets you keep really good track of your maintenance. So I was watching that and I noticed we had some items upcoming and we were waiting for the registration to finally get approved into our name on the plane. So it was kind of just down waiting for that. And then these inspection items are coming up really quick. And then what do you know? They were upon us in no time. So the plane, obviously you can't fly it if you have inspections and stuff due. It had to go into maintenance. We timed out on, geez, let me read off all the stuff that was done. A lot of them are just like silly, small little items. They're important, you can't skip them, but they're simple enough. At least I thought they would all be simple enough, but they ended up racking up a pretty huge bill. All right, the inspection for the portable fire extinguisher weight, that one's simple. That one probably wasn't too much money. And we got a PC-12 going in front of me. Hello. Wow, beautiful plane. One day, except those are millions of dollars, and this, not even close. You could have so many of these for the price of one PC-12. I'd rather take 6 Citations than one PC-12. Okay, and then we have ELT battery, that was due. RVSM inspection. Holy smokes, again, naive to the fact that I didn't know exactly what's all included in the RVSM STC for this plane. You have to do a yearly RVSM check, intervals 12 months, and that was due. Once again, I didn't realize how much a simple RVSM check costs, right? It can't be that much money. $2,600. So let's get the totals going, you know. $2,600 right out the gate for the RVSM check. It passed though, you know, thank goodness. Okay, next up we have phase 54. What is phase 54? I don't know. I didn't even know until I logged into the, you know, the maintenance schedule and I saw it was due. It's due every 3 months or 200 hours. So it probably must be something small and easy. Emergency gear bottle hydrostat. Oh, we'll talk about that one in a minute. Oh God. Okay, engine fire bottle cartridges. Again, sounds harmless, right? There's 4 of them and they all need to be replaced. And that just for the part, $3,608. And then we have radio altimeter 5G, band interference, mandatory inspection, that, okay. Engine minor inspection on both sides, that's every 24 months or 300 hours. I guess they just inspect for any squawks or any engine issues. Obviously, once again, important, it's the lifeline of your plane, so you want your engines to be in good shape, so those were due. And some of these were not necessarily due, but they were coming up to where I figured, okay, if they're coming up soon, I might as well bundle everything together just so we have plenty of months of airworthy, good to go travel where we don't have to worry about items. So I did some of these probably a little early. Okay, next up, phase 53 inspection. What's a phase 53 inspection? I don't know, but it was due. So there are the items. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few, but that gives you an idea of what the plane needed to be back to airworthy, current on all the inspections, and ready to fly. So I figured it wouldn't be that bad. So we took it to a shop in California. Hence why we flew over there in the most recent video. I shall not name this shop, but I wasn't too pleased with how everything went down. There was a lot of just miscommunication. Basically, after about 3 months, 90 days of sitting, waiting for these inspections to be done and for the plane to be looked at, they reply with, "Hello, Jeffrey. Regretfully, our maintenance shop has been overwhelmed with aircraft holding pre-scheduled maintenance commitments and is scheduled to remain fully booked for the next 90 days. For this reason, we have been unable to provide a timely response to your requests for work on your aircraft. We apologize for not being able to work your aircraft's maintenance needs into our maintenance schedule. However, there's another shop on the field here that works on Citations, and we've advised them of your needs, and they will be able to take in your aircraft quickly. Once again, our apologies for not being able to provide the maintenance services you require at this time." So this is where it started to go downhill. We just waited a long time for what we thought was getting in line to get the maintenance done at this shop, right? And then after all that time waiting, they hit us with that email, which I think that's a nice way of saying, hey, we have some Gulfstreams we need to work on, and your jet is like the Honda Civic of the skies, so we're not very interested in the work, in my opinion. There was just a disconnect, a lot of miscommunication. It didn't work out with that shop. That happens sometimes. It's usually no big deal on a car. But when you have a jet, it's a problem because the 3 months it was waiting on their ramp for the maintenance, more items were needed. It did not need all of those items when we first brought it in for service, if that makes sense. It only needed like 2 things looked at, okay? And then by the time we had to go find another shop, it needed whatever those 8 things looked at. So even if the plane's sitting, it still needs all these inspections done. A prop plane is just like 1 annual inspection, big whoop. But a jet, when you're working on these time clocks of 24 months, 36 months, if it's just sitting, it is running you up a massive theoretical like cost, if that makes sense. That was definitely upsetting because now we have more maintenance items that need to be looked at. Okay, at least we have a recommendation for a shop. So we call them, I like get in touch with them and they said like, oh, we'll call you back, we'll call you back, we'll call you back, we'll call you back. Never heard anything from them. They never scheduled us in and I was back to square zero. needing all these items done and having no idea where to take the plane. It's unairworthy because it needs work done. Can't take it to a different shop on a different field. It has to be somebody there. Luckily, we were referred to one last shop by a different buddy of mine. What do you know? They were much better about just taking the bull by the horns and getting it done. They just solved the problem. So we had the problem of not having the maintenance manuals. Oh great, there's another expense that is ridiculous. So they're like, hey, can you provide us with the manuals to do the work? I'm like, I don't have any manuals. What are you talking about? Do you? And they're like, no, we don't have manuals. I'm like, oh, well, what do we do? And they're like, well, we can rent the manuals. I'm like, okay, cool. Is it like renting a textbook? It'll be like 20 bucks? No, it was $400. But it is what it is. Again, I just want to get the plane done at this point. So I'm like, sure, just do it. Go, go, go. So they get to work on those items. They eventually hit us back with a quote, you know, a couple weeks later saying, okay, to do all those items you outlined, it's going to be $11,600. And I'm like, oh man, that's a lot of money, but it's jet world, so maybe not that bad. So I'm like, okay, cool, do it. So they get working at it. I'm like, okay, I need it done by this deadline because we're planning to take the plane on a business trip. This date was the target goal, and we're getting closer and closer and closer. 2 days before this trip comes up, they're like, hey, we have good news and we have bad news. I'm like, okay, what's the good news? They're like, we have everything done on the jet, everything passed, we didn't find any squawks, except there's one thing that is not done. I'm like, well, what is it? Explain more. And they're like, remember the emergency nitrogen landing gear bottle? And I go, yeah, just the hydrostat test, no big deal, right? And they're like, well, yeah, we sent it out to hydrostatic testing. I said, what's the big deal? Did it, you know, fail or something like that? And they said, well, it didn't necessarily fail, but it timed out. So I'm like, what do you mean it timed out? It's a metal bottle. And they said, well, it actually has a life limit of 25 years. And ours was at like 24 years and change. Therefore, they couldn't certify it and test it for another cycle run. They wouldn't pass the bottle. So I'm like, oh man, that really stinks. But you know, how quick can we get one? And you know, how much is it? It can't be that much money. It's this tiny little bottle, like, you know, grandma rolls around for oxygen. What, a couple $100 or something? And they go, no, if we can find one, about $10,000.
Great Scott. Why?
What? Come again? Come again? This little bottle is $10,000. And what do you mean if we can find one? And they just said, well, you know, part supply and availability is tricky, especially for these old planes. You know, we don't currently see one available. We called a few places. Nobody has one, but we're gonna do some more digging. I don't even want to pay 10,000 bucks. I'll just find a used one with some time left and we'll do that. I'm like, forget the business trip. We're not gonna make it. So we can that. I just said, you know what, we'll get you a used bottle, you'll put it in, we'll pick it up next week. So they said, okay, yeah, you're more than welcome. So Owen and I post on the Instagram stories, hey, who has, you know, this nitrogen bottle, part number this, we need it, figuring we'd get some leads. And we got some leads, about 3-4 people reply saying, hey, this company has one, or hey, my shop has one. And we're like, fantastic, how much do you want for it? I even found one on a quick eBay search for like 400 bucks. And I'm like, ha, this is easy, we'll just get this one off eBay, $400. Every single time when I dug a little deeper, timed out. Every single one.
I'm in danger.
So I now have so many hours invested trying to find a used bottle. At this point, the plane is just burning a hole in our pocket. You know, if we keep waiting, it's gonna need more inspections done. So you just have to bite the bullet and pay the money. So a couple days later, I reached back out to them saying, hey, can't find a used one. We're just gonna have to buy a new one for that 10,000 bucks. And at about this time, they did find one in Southern California for, yeah, right about $9,300 plus shipping or something like that. Close to $10,000. I'm like, okay, perfect. You know, call them up and tell them we'll take it. So I cannot make this stuff up. So they call them up and say, hey, we need that bottle. We'll take it. You know, my customer needs it for the plane. And, what do you know? It's sold about an hour prior. Someone else bought the bottle.
I just don't enjoy it. It's not an enjoyable experience for me, and I don't like any of you.
So they called me back saying, hey, that bottle that we thought was available is now sold. What do you want to do? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was my fault. Because I waited. I held off on buying a new bottle for 10,000 bucks because why would I want to pay 10,000 bucks for a bottle? I thought for sure I could get one used. But like I said, the shop is good about getting in the trenches, getting it done. So about 1 or 2 days later, they call saying, hey, we found another one. It's available right now. You gotta let us know. We're not gonna let it, you know, sell again or else this might be the last one we see for a while. So I'm like, all right, buy it. go. So they called him back immediately and they pulled the trigger on it. A brand new bottle, 25 years left, with all the paperwork ready to be dropped in the plane. It was local in Southern California. They shipped it up for, again, shipping for all these parts, $602. Oh my gosh. They got it, they installed it, and they said, okay, the plane is officially done. This was a few days ago, and here we go. I'm in it now because we're about to take flight in it for the first time and make sure everything works. We are legal, everything is done, no issues with the plane, and I'm sure you guys are wondering the total, right? So $11,600 for just like the inspection and labor on those items. And then we got the oxygen bottle, like I said, $9,150. The ELT battery, $679. Ouch. The cartridges, like I said, $3,608. So just the equipment parts, stuff like that, $13,000. The rental, $400, plus the shipping, $600. What's adjustments? I didn't even see that line item when I paid the bill. Adjustments, $1,002. All right, and then of course, sales tax, 7.75%, $1,041. So the total cost out the door for our first maintenance bill on the Cessna Citation to do those 6 simple inspections was $27,080.67. Rest in peace, my bank account. Oh, again, I knew owning and maintaining a jet would be expensive. I just wasn't prepared for this. I know the comments are gonna be good on this video. Go ahead, comment away, you stupid little kid, thinking you could buy a jet and afford to maintain it. All right, I'm just kidding. That's a little bit of drama for the video. Honestly, it sucks. It sucks, it does suck. A $10,000 oxygen bottle, nitrogen bottle, will always suck for anyone. I don't care how much money you have. But we did budget for these things. We had money left over. This plane was a great deal. I know we got a great deal on it. I knew it would cost money to keep it going and to fly it. I planned for it. I wasn't quite planning this much, this fast, but it's not the end of the world. You know, now that we just pissed away that much money, why not just piss away a little more money? Let's drop $100,000 on a panel. It's funny, the shop does do panel upgrades, and they just finished a 501 with a gorgeous full glass panel. And I think it was, I mean, it's like 150, 175,000 bucks or more. But they just finished it and they're like, hey, you wanna add that on top too and do that next? And I'm like, no, I'd much rather have a Lamborghini than a couple glass screens right here, at least for now. You know, maybe down the road we'll update it. What do you guys think? Should we call up our friends over at Aviation and throw some glass in here? I think it would be pretty cool to put twin 550s right here, get rid of these ancient radios. It's fine how it is. Owen does a great job. You'll see in the next video flying it, which we're taking off soon, so it's gonna be a good one. The thing is, this is just the beginning. These are small items. These engines right here, the most expensive part on the plane. Pratt & Whitney JT15D-1As. The cost to overhaul these engines, absolutely ludicrous. $400,000. What the heck is that? What is that? So loud. Holy. Those blades in there, $80,000 was the cost to do the HT blade upgrade on each motor. 160,000 bucks just for the blades, just for the sets of blades. What the heck? And yeah, $400,000 plus or minus to overhaul the engines. Nobody overhauls these engines anymore. I mean, some people do, but the general consensus is you just take a used pair of engines, slap them on that have however much remaining time left. The formula is usually about $100 per hour. So if it's got 1,000 hours remaining on the engine, that engine's worth about $100,000. So you would take that, slap it on instead of overhauling the engines, if that makes sense. Wow, look at that thing. What is that, like a Lancer? So yeah, we still have some time till TBO on the engines here, but dear God, when we hit TBO, even if you just hot side it and call it a day, you're still talking maybe 100,000 bucks out the door for, you know, the 2 engines. And those are just the engines. Don't even get me started on the windshields. This was about $30,000 for the previous owner to recently replace. Thank goodness he did that, and that was on his dime. Also, one of these boots are new, or maybe both of them. He replaced them at the cost of, I think he said $30,000 or $40,000. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think these are all in the ballpark, especially with inflation and the cost of getting these parts. Don't even get me started on the tires. The tires, you literally cannot even find them. If you can, you're talking maybe 3,000 bucks for each tire. The brakes, another very expensive thing. He just replaced, I think that side or this one, can't remember, $12,000. You get the idea. What we just went through was pennies compared to what it can be. It can easily exceed the value of the plane. Just one engine being overhauled is nearly the price of these airplanes. And of course, I'm not even mentioning the obvious consumables. Fuel, hello, this thing, best case scenario, you're burning 130 gallons in high elevation cruise, but it can easily be at lower altitudes 160, 180 gallons an hour. It'll just drink the fuel. They're older engines. They're not the most efficient things. Yeah, they're pretty robust and pretty reliable, but it's a trade-off. They drink a lot of gas. And of course, they're not on engine programs. Oh, that would be another thing. If you were on engine programs or something, having to pay every hour, but of course, then you don't pay for some of the big maintenance bills. So it's just pros and cons, pluses and minuses. This one, not on any programs, no warranty. So everything is paid out of pocket and my pockets are hurting. All right, there you go. So there's the moral of the story. Let's hit the skies, test this thing out for the first time. Stay tuned for the next video where we take it on a really cool flight. I can't tell you where yet, but we got an exciting one planned. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to comment down below if you ever plan to buy a private jet. Now you know some of the costs associated with them. And I'm sure I missed a lot of things. Oh, air conditioning. If air conditioning goes out, it's not like a couple $100 to fix it like a normal car. You're talking multiple 5 figures to replace the system. Thank goodness this has the Freon upgraded system. Oh, and of course, how can I forget? Insurance, that's another important charge that everybody's probably curious about on a plane, right? One of our supercars will probably run about $500 to $600 every 6 months. So a little over $1,000 for an annual premium for one of our Lamborghinis, Ferraris, McLarens, right? So this plane's worth, what, 2-3 times as much, so it should be $2-3 grand, right? No, not at all. Get this, we just paid out $19,364. And of course, I could go on and on and on. It's got RVSM, which was, I think, like a $50,000 STC. Again, thank goodness the previous owner did that stuff, but he did plenty, but we'll still have to do plenty. We got a lot on the list. I want to upgrade the interior with Ron, Aviation Creations. It's a little dated looking in here. I mean, it's still in good shape, so I don't know what to do. What do you guys think? Comment down below on interior, comment down below on panel, and we'll go from there. Good to have the plane back. My bank account's a whole lot lighter now, but hey, learned a lot, and we'll continue doing that. This is the first of many jets. I'm not shying away. I'm loving every moment of it, despite the pain. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time in the sky, 501.
That it feels right.